Hey, good evening, and welcome to what is now episode 7 of Coco Uncut. Tonight's episode is brought to you in conjunction with a company called FemShot. This is a company I did a photo shoot with some weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, owned by a lady by the name of Gemma McMillan. I can't speak highly enough of this lady. I've worked with an awful lot of photographers, and without doubt, her energy throughout the day, her inspiration, her technique behind the lens, and her results are just tremendous. Anybody looking for a high quality artwork, I won't say photograph, but artwork, anybody looking for some really classy artwork of their own physique needs to get Gemma on board. She's an amazing lady. She's hopefully coming over to the island to do a photo shoot in about 6 weeks' time. So if any of you are local, please get in touch. I can give you the details, or I can put you straight in touch with her. But she supports me, and obviously that's the reason why I like to support other local businesses, people. It really is. So thank you, Gemma, so much. So tonight, it's the subject is: should your coach be in shape? This is a subject that is massively debated without the industry, and it's certainly massively debated through my mentorship groups that I'm part of. How do I sum it up really? And I think the analogy is that if you were to walk into a doctor's surgery and he was smoking or she was smoking a cigarette, would you take their advice as seriously? I just want to let you kind of digest that for a moment. So you're walking into your doctor's surgery and he has a cigarette that he's smoking. Would you then take his advice as seriously, or would you get up and walk out? What would you do? And that's kind of sums up what I think is wrong with the industry at the moment. We've got two ends of the scale. We've got the young 20-year olds or low 20-year olds who are genetically gifted. They're perfectly formed. They've been training for a short period, but they are in incredible shape and clearly are genetically gifted. So you've got that end of the scale. On the other end of the scale, you've got somebody who is not as gifted genetically, but has the technical knowledge. He has the textbook. He has the knowledge. He has all the bells and whistles with all the modern technology, but he's clearly never lifted a weight or done any sport in his life or her life. So which one are you going to choose? And I don't think there's a definitive answer. I honestly don't. But what I would say is that the young guys and young girls, as much as they look absolutely fabulous, do they have the experience to be able to deal with the more mature clients who have got business issues, life commitments, challenges with their relationship? These are all part of our coaching job. Have they got the life experience to be able to deal with the mindset of choosing what to do for the best in your next journey as your fitness career grows? The guy with the textbook, has he ever felt the pinch of a calorie deficit? Has he ever stepped onto a start line of a run, of a marathon, of a sprint, of a cycle race? He might have the books and he might be able to relate to those in certain chapters and certain answers. But actually, has he ever himself or herself, have they ever actually pushed themselves or pushed their bodies and seen how that's reacted? I can talk about this with a degree of authority. I'm 64 years old. I passed my PT examination in the early 20s, exactly what I've just said. And I will justify that in a moment. But I passed it. So I've got 40 years experience. I've competed at the highest level in many sports, in all different multi-sports, bodybuilding, karate, kendo, sailing. triathlon. All of those are within my remit. So I've experienced different ways and different sports. The reason I said I would come back to that is when I passed my exam when I was younger, I was one of the younger guys. But I took it upon myself, bearing in mind I was a sportsman at the time, I was a rugby player at the time, I took it upon myself to continually learn. And again, I knew what it was like going into a big competition. I stepped up my game as a rugby player and realised that, and actually to be a good rugby player, I had to put certain things in place. So that's no different to me 2 weeks ago stepping on stage at the Wabble Mr. Worlds, where I was in a calorie deficit for nearly 9 months. So I've actually walked the walk and talked the talk. I'm not saying I'm any better than anybody else. I'm just justifying that massive experience. I think I would sum it up by saying, yes, I passed my exam in my early 20s, but that's when I really started to learn my trade. There's lots of people, online coaches, who have never worked a gym floor. So they've never seen how the biometrics of a body works or different body works. So you can pick 5 people out of the gym and put them under a squat rack. And you can apply the same rules to each and every one of them, but not every one of them will be able to squat better afterwards. That's the benefit of having the experience and the years behind you that actually will be a foot position or a hip position or even a head position. And that's the experience. That's how it works. That's how it makes a difference having a coach. Anybody can read a book. Absolutely anybody can read a book. And unfortunately, the younger generation of ours who are genetically gifted haven't got the life experience. There's an awful lot of business owners, career-minded, relationship-minded, more mature athletes who have spent thousands of pounds on cookie-cutter, typical, downloaded, generic training programs and nutrition programs. They don't take into account that you've got a 6 a.m. flight to the other side of Europe to be in a meeting for 4 hours. You won't have time to eat. You may not have time to train. They haven't experienced that for themselves. That's the difference. So as much as a business owner spends thousands of pounds, and literally thousands of pounds, on generic training programs that don't give results, you've also wasted the most valuable thing that you have in your business, which is time equity. That's the point I'm trying to make. Don't get me wrong, I don't think every coach walking the gym floor or every online coach needs to be in contest prep shape. Not at all. That isn't what I'm trying to say, so please don't misunderstand that. But I think whoever your coach is and whatever his chosen sport is, he ought to demonstrate that with confidence, vitality. His body, his physique, or her physique, is actually her business card. It doesn't matter whether they're a runner, a powerlifter, an MMA fighter. As long as they have the passion about their own sport, they will know what it's like to go through what it needs to do to compete at that sport. You know, I've worked with boxers who go on such a strict fluid depression that actually to get to weight, it's absolutely scary. As a bodybuilder, what I went through, I've been in calorie deficit for probably 6 to 8 months. To actually push yourself to that limit 4 to 5 days out when you still know you've got to train, I believe coming back from that, I'm a better coach, I'm a better athlete, and bizarrely, I'm probably even a better person because the journey that I've took myself on has actually pushed myself to the limit. I think that's what's important. I don't think you have to be, like I say, at the top of the game, but you need to have a passion about the sport and therefore a vitality within the industry. I've heard recently as a coach talking to a client who actually, I wouldn't say called him out, but asked the question, how come you're not in as good shape as you were? And the coach's response, which I was absolutely shocked with, is that he's been too busy with clients to be able to train. And I actually thought about that. And I thought, is that not one of the main problems that my clients come to me with? They come to me with the fact that their business is taking over, their relationship has taken over, and they're asking me to design a workout plan to be able to fit around their lifestyle and their business commitments. Now, if that PT can't do that for himself, how the hell is he going to do that for a client? That's the question. And I thought that was absolutely shocking, because when things really get tough, how is he going to be able to relate to that? Because actually what he's done is backed off. There are no backing off in coaching. That's not the deal. Hey, look, I absolutely feel your pain. You've got an intense lifestyle. You're struggling to balance work, life, and everything else. I've done it. I've run my own business, still run my own business. But I have to prioritize and put a balance in there that keeps me, learning my trade and continually learning my trade, as well as keeping fit, as well as running a home, as well as holding down a relationship. I can do that because I've got that experience. So I'm not saying it's easy by any stretch, but that's actually the benefit. I understand the psychological warfare of being able to go out for a business meal and struggle with a menu that perhaps doesn't fit into your meal plan. That's what I do as a coach. I work around that and I help you with that so that it takes that stress away completely. The last thing you want to worry about when you're trying to close a big deal that's life or death or strive or thrive with your business, the last thing you need to be stressed about is whether there's chicken and rice on the menu. We need to be able to work around that. We need to have the communication and the understanding and the accountability that will then mean that we don't lose those results. As we get older, our bodies change, our hormones change, our whole recovery changes. It isn't a linear path. As we get older, we need to be assured that the longevity of our joints is going to last so that we can still maintain our condition moving forward. This is the experience that somebody at my age, 64, I have to train differently. And I realize probably in 6 months' time or 12 months' time, I'll have to train differently again. I will adjust it to suit my body type. The textbook or the weekend PT course doesn't tell you that. It'll tell you how to set a plan. It'll tell you how to put a diet. It'll talk to you about basic macros. But it won't say to you that how somebody's skeletal body has changed over the period because he has a desk job and therefore, his pelvis isn't perfectly in line, but yet still needs to do a leg workout. It won't tell you that. That's what we're there for. Our bodies change as we get older. And therefore the way we train has to change, and the way we eat has to change, and the way that we rest has to change. So I hope this has been useful, and I hope it's been thought-provoking. And I suppose what I want to say to you is there's nothing wrong with Instagram's latest hacks if they get you results. And that's the difference, if they get you results. Because it doesn't matter what workout you do and who gives you that workout, without your nutrition at 33%, your training at 33%, and your recovery at 33%, without all of that being in balance, nothing will work. You could be the best coach in the world and nothing will work. So those basics have got to be in place before anything else. Moving on from that, when you choose a coach, I'll go back a step. If you are sick to death of wasting money, because there's lots of noise out there and there's lots of people promising the earth. If you're sick to death of wasting money on generic cookie cutter Instagram type workouts, and you want something that's designed around your lifestyle, your business commitments, and your relationship, then you need to get in touch. I've worked with young cyclists. I've worked with old MMA fighters. I've worked with a photography model who simply had to get in shape for a photo shoot. I've worked at all levels, and I can adapt according. There are basics that everybody follows, of course, but there isn't two clients of the same. Absolutely not. They can want the same goals, but their journey is going to be completely different. So if you're sick of wasting time, if you're sick of wasting your hard-earned money, but still want to continue with your career, you want to be more productive within your life, you want to be a better partner to your lover, then please get in touch. It's massively important. I can help you. Thank you so much for listening. I hope it's been thought-provoking. I hope it hasn't offended anybody. But at the end of the day, there is a commitment out there for you to take. This is an investment in your body. It's not an expense. It's not something for your business like stationery. It's not an expense. This is an investment. And the results of that investment are massive. Productivity, confidence, more drive, more energy, more time. It's massive. Please, take my word for it. Get in touch. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week.